Hello, everyone. Welcome to badgerbeat.com from the Honda Center in Anaheim, California. Rob Hernandez joined by Jim Polzin as we look ahead to Thursday's game between the Badgers and Baylor in the NCAA Sweet 16. Time for Jim Polzin's keys to the game. And, Jim, let's start first with the Baylor Bears and their fast starts. I mean, they have absolutely dominated teams and dominated early in games getting to this point.
Yeah, in all six of their postseason games, which we're talking about Big 12 tournament too, they've led by double digits in the first half of all six of those games, which is pretty remarkable. I think they've only trailed total for 7.5 minutes of 240 possible postseason minutes. So it's really remarkable. It's a really remarkable thing. Against Creighton, they completely blew them out of the water early in the game. Nebraska kind of the same thing, and they never gave those teams a chance to recover. On the flip side, Wisconsin's been a team that's kind of been a slow starter the last three games. Michigan State got off to a good start early against them. American led 19-13 in that first NCAA tournament game. Wisconsin recovered, obviously, and won by 40. Last Saturday, Oregon jumped out to a 12-point halftime lead. Wisconsin came back with a great second half. I just don't think Wisconsin can keep playing this game of falling behind and being forced to recover.
Is there anything about Baylor and its fast starts that the Badgers can take away? Is there anything that is really consistent from in these games so far that they've done well that the Badgers will have to be aware of?
Well, I think Baylor's defense sets the tone for its offense. They've shut teams down early in games and made it really difficult for opponents to recover, and we'll touch on Baylor's defense a little bit more with these keys, but I think a strong start offensively, making some shots, would certainly help and not dig yourself a hole.
So key number one, a fast start. Jimmy, key number two, you have defending the glass. Tell us a little bit about what the Badgers have to do on the boards to stay in this ballgame.
Well, Baylor, I think anybody who's paid attention this week knows that Baylor's big. Their front line is 7'1", 6'8", 6'6". They bring a 6'8" guy off the bench, and all those guys can jump, can get on the glass. They rebound hard. According to KenPom.com, Baylor is number 3 in the country in offensive rebound percentage. They rebound almost 40.6% of their available misses. So it's just an unreal amount, and you can see why. You can see why in their shoot around today. They're huge. They're bulky. They're big. They can jump. It's going to be a tremendous challenge for the Badgers. And all four of those. I mean, you look at Corey Jefferson there, who is a 6'9" senior forward for Baylor. He gets almost 3 offensive rebounds per game just himself. So it's a pretty good challenge for Wisconsin. We know Wisconsin's lineup is not huge. You have 7-foot Frank Kaminsky, 6'8" Sam Decker, and then you have 3 guards, 6'3" or under. So it's going to be up to those guards, guys like Ben Brust, Trayvon Jackson, and Josh Gosser, to box out really well and keep those bigger guys off the glass.
Can the way the Badgers sometimes like to play the physical game on the boards, will that help, or does Baylor match that from what you've been able to tell so far?
Well, I think Baylor's pretty physical too. I don't think they're afraid of contact. The one thing I think Wisconsin can do is if they do box out and Baylor crashes the boards with 3 or 4 guys and gets a rebound, they can turn it around on them. They can, we don't hear a lot with Wisconsin in tempo and being a fast tempo team, but Wisconsin likes to push the ball this year, Trayvon Jackson especially. If Wisconsin can keep them off the offensive glass and turn it around and get some numbers going the other way and get some easy baskets, I think that's a great way to kind of counteract that aggressiveness on the offensive glass.
All right, and key to the game number 3, it's the 1-3-1 zone we've heard so much about these Baylor Bears. How have the Badgers gone about trying to break that down? Talking to some of the players, it's just not as easy as finding seams, is it?
No, and it's difficult to practice against because you just can't. I mean, you throw scout guys out there that just don't have that length and that height and quickness. It's just not the same. I mean, they know how to break a zone. They've done well against zones this year, but it's going to be a little different. There might be a little bit of an adjustment period tomorrow, early in the game. They're going to want to get the ball in the middle of the zone. I mean, I think that's one thing that against Creighton, Baylor left the middle part of the zone open because they had to focus on the perimeter shooters, and they're going to have to do that again with Wisconsin. There's a lot of perimeter shooters to defend, so they're going to leave the middle of the zone open, and that's where Wisconsin's got to take advantage, whether it's Frank Kaminsky or Nigel Hayes getting the ball 15 feet from the rim and either knock down that mid-range jumper or you take it to the hole and maybe draw some contact or make some easy buckets there. So I ultimately think this, and I watched the Creighton-Baylor game live the other night, and I watched the first half again before we came out here to Anaheim. Creighton had some open looks. They really did. There were some shots that they maybe normally knock down. So I really think Wisconsin's going to get some looks in the game tomorrow night they've got to knock them down. If they knock them down, I think I think they can be okay. If they don't, it could be a long night.
One other question on that note: are the shots they're going to be shot differently because Baylor is so long? Do these guys have to alter their shot from long range?
Well, and you got to stay away from doing that. I mean, you can't get too quick with your shot. You want your normal release, and if the shot's not there, this team's done a really good job of working around to find another good shot. So I think patience is key, and this team's been a pretty patient team. It's been a team that's willing to share. But I think you bring up a good point. You can't rush things. There's going to be a little less time for Ben Brust and Josh Gosser to shoot because those guys can close so quickly because they're so long. They can't rush shots tomorrow. They have to go with the normal routine.
So fast start, defending the glass, and the 1-3-1 zone, dealing with Baylor's length in the zone defense be three keys, according to Jim Polzin, for the Badgers in tomorrow night's game with the Baylor Bears in the Sweet 16. For Jim Polzin, Rob Hernandez, thanks for joining us on the Keys to the Game from the Honda Center in Anaheim.